But what about this fear thing? Is fear real? I see people try and tell you it's not real. I know we love a good acronym in this world, right? See people do things with the word fear, try and convince you it's different. Put it up on like a flip chart. It's like an F and an E and an A and an R. And they say all that fear really is? False evidence appearing real. My God, I've seen that like a gazillion times. And every time I see it, I'm like, wow, that's cute. It's not how I see it appear in my life or anywhere that I've bumped into it. You know what I see when faced with fear in industries like this? What I see in industries like this is I see F everything and run. Right? That's what happens when it gets scary. It's like, ah! I'm going this way. How do I run in a different direction? So I was thinking, if I'm going to share some words with you today, then what the best place to start might be some words that allow you to ask for just about anything, to just about anybody, and it be completely rejection-free. That'd be pretty useful, yes? Share with you some examples of what I call my magic words. The book is full of magic words, and what magic words do is they talk straight towards the subconscious brain. Subconscious brain is powerful in the decision-making process. Why? Because it has a yes output and a no output. There's no maybe in the subconscious. See, people think that no is the enemy of yes. It isn't. Maybe is the enemy. Indecision is the thing that's slowing you down. People stuck in maybe. So if you can talk to the part of somebody's brain that is fundamentally more decisive, then what you can do is you can increase the rate of decision. And if you can increase the rate of decision, you can increase the rate of action. And if you can increase the rate of action, you can increase the rate of transaction. Get it? So talking to that part of the brain speeds things up a little. Anybody who doesn't know much about the subconscious brain, I'll give you some examples of where it serves you. Does anybody remember a familiar car ride? Where you remember arriving at the vehicle in the morning and then getting to the destination and you have no idea how you got there? Subconscious brain took the drive. Like, don't worry. If anything unusual happened, conscious brain would grab the wheel, you'd be back in control in a nanosecond. But it's like our human autopilot. Still confused about the subconscious brain? Think about it as like a little voice inside your head. That's it. And if you're sat there right now thinking that you haven't got a little voice inside your head, that's the little voice. Learning to talk to other people's is what can give you a fair advantage in just about every critical conversation, if you're prepared to be able to understand some of the rules. See, if I wanted somebody to consider an idea of mine, I wouldn't ask them directly to consider the idea. I'd preface my ask with a simple set of words. I'd preface my ask with the words, I'm not sure if it's for you. See, if I preface an ask with the words, I'm not sure if it's for you, what does the little voice do? If we take it in slow motion, it actually does two things. The first thing it does is it says, well, I'll be the judge of that. Takes full personal responsibility for the fact a decision needs to be made, and that decision is mine to make, right? Thing one. The second thing it does, curiosity is piqued. Like, what is it? I need to know. Yet there's a three-letter word on the end of this example, holds huge power, and I'm not sure whether it was Uncle Ben or Peter Parker that first said it, but they said with great power comes responsibility. Same thing is true with how we use the words but. See, people think the word but just negates what was said prior, right? We ever been told that when somebody says to you, like, here's some feedback about your role, I know you're trying to do everything the way you used to do it from your last studio, and that you're trying to make this work in the best way that you can, but what do we remember? And then everything that follows. See, but doesn't actually backspace. What it does is it shifts the focus to next. That's what that word does. So we have to use it consciously and on purpose at times. So when I say, I'm not sure if it's for you, but little voice says, well, I'll be the judge of that. What is it? Can't stop looking at it, can't stop looking at it. How do you use that in your real world? You'd say things to a family like, I'm not sure if it's for you, but your daughter is doing so many great things, I think she could benefit from more glasses. You could say to somebody that you'd love to be able to work with you is, I'm not sure if it's for you, but there's a role that's like potentially opening up at the studio that I think you'd be a great fit for. See how this makes us pulley and not pushy? What it does is it creates permission to have the conversation you'd like to have. What we often think we struggle with is conversation. We don't. We struggle with the ability to get to the conversation we'd like to have. People are pretty good on dates. They're just not good at asking for dates. Right? That's what needs to change. Let me give you another quick example. Need to check some basic brain science first. Who in this room sees themselves as open-minded? Take a look around. That'll be somewhere like everybody. See, I'm pretty sure that the other hands wouldn't have raised regardless of what I asked, like cash, cookies, cake. They're not into it. I mean, show of hands, who are the people that never raise their hand when asked to raise their hand? Right? We have a fact. The fact is this. The whole world likes to see themselves as open-minded. See themselves as open-minded. Doesn't mean they are. They like to just believe they are. How do we use that fact to our advantage? We apply it to a core principle. Who is the person who's in control of every conversation? The person who is asking the questions. So we take that principle, apply it to the fact that the whole world likes to see themselves as open-minded. We just got another rejection-free opening formula. A question like, how open-minded would you be to? How open-minded would you be to learning about some ways you could be more valuable to the studio? How open-minded would you be to learning about some of our more advanced programs? I mean, how open-minded would you be to utilizing the words, how open-minded are you more often? Pulley again, not pushy. I want you to just understand a very distinct difference as well. You can use the question, are you open-minded? Or the question, how open-minded would you be? When would you use either? These are tools in a toolkit. Well, here's this simple way of being able to delineate. If you want a decision, ask the question, are you open-minded to? Watch you get 90-10 results. If you want a discussion, ask, how open-minded would you be? So how open-minded is for discussion, are you open-minded is for decision. Just catch that delineation. These useful tools? Okay. Why don't I give you a secret to influence? This is how can you get just about anybody to do just about anything? We up for this? Okay, you're going to use this for growing your studio. You're not going to use it for manipulating husbands or kids or any of that stuff, correct? Maybe, like pinky promise, right? Pinky promise. The secret to influence lies in our understanding of that word. One of the most overused words. Why? Because people don't know what it means. It's created from the forcing together of two words. First word is that one. Second one is that one. So give me another word for a motive. If somebody had a motive, it would mean they had a what? Say any one of these. And if somebody's to take action, it means they're going to do what? It means they're going to move, or it means they're going to do something. So all that is truly meant by the word motivation is this. A reason to move. Would it be fair to say that if the reason was big enough, you could get just about anybody to do just about anything? Yeah, right? Whose reason matters more, yours or theirs? See, we know this stuff. Their reason matters more. Did you know there are only 3 reasons anybody moves to do anything? Oh, geez, I've got to work. Okay, thing 1, to run towards something for an incentive. Life's going to be better because. Thing 2, I want to run away from something because it's scaring me, some form of fear motivation. So you've got incentive motivation running towards. You've got fear motivation running away. Third form of motivation, self-motivation, attitude, doing things for your reasons and nobody else's. Some quick questions for you, though. Is incentive motivation, does that work, yes or no? Yeah, it'll work with some of the people, some of the time. Fear motivation, does that work? Yeah, that works too, right? That'll get it done. In fact, that works with more of the people more of the time. Interesting. Self or attitude motivation, people doing things for their own reasons, does that work, yes or no? Yeah, that'll work too. Works with all of the people all of the time. So we've got 3 levers that can move people to action. Something they're going to run towards, something they're going to run away from, something that can make their heart sing. They all work. Here's what's most exciting though. As leaders, as entrepreneurs, as influencers, our job is to build a cocktail out of those motivational factors for any given moment to find their reason to move. It's like being the perfect bartender. It requires emotional intelligence. Good news is computers can't do your jobs yet. It means this is an imperfect science. But those are the only ingredients we've got. Something you want to run towards, something you want to run away from, something that can make your heart sing. How do we use the fact that the secret to influence is merely to unlock their reason to move when people have something to run towards, something they want to run away from, and something that can make their heart sing? I'll tell you how we do it. We do it with words. And I've got to give you some more sort of brain science stuff here first. Some information about how decisions are really made. Did you know that every decision that every human being has ever made has been made at least twice? You know that? Every decision that has ever been made has been made at least twice. Why? Because we first make decisions hypothetically, in our mind's eye. Ever said the words to yourself that I cannot see myself doing that? It's a physical thing. If you can't see yourself doing something, the likelihood of you choosing to do it, slim to none. Therefore, if you can at first see yourself doing something, likelihood of you choosing to do it, much, much higher. What else do we need to understand? We need to understand something else about how decisions are made. To make a decision, we use a thing called our memory. What our memory is like a gazillion photographs, like the world's biggest Instagram account up here. And when asked to make a decision, we reach into this Instagram account, we sort through the photographs, looking for points of reference that will allow us or inform the decision we're about to make. Catch that? So here's the weird question. How many of your memories actually happen to you? It's awkward, right? Because the answer is not all of them. Here's how your memories became memories. It was either an experience that you lived through or an experience that was shared with you, typically in the form of a story. And when that was shared in the form of a story, you painted an image, you implanted it up here, you now keep it in your memory. So what are we getting into here? Secret to influence is we're really looking to find their reason to move. People will move for one of three reasons, either to run towards something, run away from something, or to make their heart sing. What else do we understand? Is we understand decisions are first made hypothetically. We then understand another piece of science that says we use our memory to make decisions, and our memory is a catalog of images, and those images got there from either experiences we lived through or experiences that were shared with us, typically in the form of a story. Here's another interesting thing, is that a story will always sell, whereas a fact will only tell. There's another piece of science that's worthy of understanding before we put all this together, is did you know that we learn quickest when we're kids? Well, of course you know that. Many of you work with kids every single day. You see the growth trajectory of what happens, like from week to week to week. You see that rapid growth. And let's think about words then. How do we tie all this together? How does a child know a story is coming? They hear the words once upon a time. See, when a child hears the words once upon a time, they kick back and go, this is gonna be good, right? Open up the Instagram account, give me the pictures. They're good at this stuff. You cannot use the words once upon a time with a grown-up and get the same results. You can use the grown-up version, though. The words just imagine. What type of pictures do we now paint when we're looking at influence? Images of things that people want to run towards. Images of things that people might want to run away from, and images of things that can make their heart sing. Hey, just imagine by taking the extra classes how much more confident your daughter's going to be, not just on the studio or on the stage, but in every area of her life. Just imagine that. Hey, just imagine what happens if we don't get properly prepared for this performance, and what happens is we end up with disappointment, tears, and tantrums. Just imagine that was true. Hey, just imagine by us working together, we create something that's truly memorable, something that lasts the test of time, something that showcases what modern parenting really looks like and how kids can really flourish in a challenging environment. Just imagine that was true. Look what happens. They take the paintbrush themselves. They do the work themselves. They craft things that are worthy to be able to chase towards. That guess what? They're past the typical finish line. Now, I'm making these examples up for you on the spot. How many of your conversations are repetitive? When is the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say? Can you create your own just imagine statements ahead of a critical conversation, knowing you'll have more influence in the moment if you give people something to run towards, something they might want to run away from, something that makes their heart sing? Because guess what? You know many of the people you're looking to influence better than they know themselves. So you can give them stuff to stretch towards. Quick question. Do people make decisions on emotion or logic? Trick question. True answer is both. True answer is both. Yet something always has to feel right in here before it makes sense up here. Quick question. How many of you in this room are married or have been married? The day you asked the question or had the question asked of you, is it because the person you were looking at met your multi-point inspection checklist? See, it first has to feel right, right? First has to feel right. And then it runs the test of time when you make it make sense. You have to make it feel right first. Emotion triggers decisions. Logic validates decisions. So what we just did is we fired up people's mind's eye to get them to see themselves in alternative realities using the words just imagine. What if I can get people to feel things they haven't yet felt and passport them through time in their heart's eye to get them to feel themselves in alternate realities, to use those future-faced feelings to create action in the moment? It's called a future conditional feeling. An example of which are the words, how would you feel if? What does this allow us to be able to do? This allows us to be able to get people to feel themselves in future scenarios. How would you feel if 6 months on from now your daughter was demonstrating levels of confidence she's never shown in the past? How would you feel if that was true? How would you feel if us working together, that what we could do is create a performance that would truly be iconic within the community? I mean, how would you feel if going through this experience, that what it became is it became a catalyst for change for a number of reasons within your family unit? It allows us to be able to pull on the levers of the things that people want to run towards, the things that people might want to run away from, or the things that make their heart sing. And I want you to see that you can use these in sales scenarios, in people development scenarios, in recruitment scenarios. Just remember, the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is. So let's be more intentional with language. I want you to notice something else. Everything I'm talking to you about today is about the power of questions. Why? Because questions create conversations. Conversations lead to relationships. Relationships create opportunities, and those opportunities create action. That 5-step dance is never going to change. If there's a change you're looking for in your world, then what you need to be thinking is, who do I need to be asking questions of? What are the conversations I know I need to be having and I'm not? Where do I have relationships that hold untapped opportunities? That's going to drive the action. People say, I want opportunities and actions. Opportunities and actions. They're the outcomes. The inputs to achieve those outcomes are questions, conversations, amplified relationships. That will never change. That's your to-do list. But knowing how important questions are, and that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment when you're saying it, I thought I'd just check in on a couple of things with you folks around questions to see how good you are at this. I'm going to ask you some questions you've been asked before, see what I can get in response. Hey, how are you? So here's what happens is I ask Holly a question, right? A question we often get asked. Hey, how are you? Not only is she petrified about being picked on, but she answers this and she says, awesome. What happens to the conversation from here? It's over. What happens is I say, hey, how are you? And she says, I know this one. Awesome. At least that's what I think. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most awesome you've been on your life and 1 being somewhere below that, how awesome are you? 10? This is the best your life has ever got? Whoa. That's interesting. So you've got level 1 response to the hey, how are you question here, right? I know this one. Let's hit a period, conversation over. You see what often happens here is we might find somebody get to level 2. Let's see if you can get to level 2, right? I say, hey, how are you? You say, and then say what back? So what's response from level 2? Echo straight back, right? Hey, how are you? And guess how I say I am? Because she said she's awesome. I tell her I'm awesome too. Regardless of how I'm feeling, we just mirror and echo the same response back. Now what happens to the conversation? Dies. See, questions create conversations that lead to relationships that create opportunities. That drives action. But in our day-to-day life, we shut conversations down all the freaking time. Because we are efficient with language, not effective. How often do we do that? All the time. So let's just give consideration to how we want to be able to unpack conversations. Let me just ask another question. Who can I pick on here? Your name, young lady, is Heather?
Yes.
Heather, tell me about the last place you went on your vacation.
Colorado.
Colorado. Colorado's awesome. I was out in Colorado like in 2018 for an event. I stayed at that massive house hotel. It was incredible. I had the mountains in the backdrop. They got me like a 1,700 square foot suite for myself. It was incredible. I was there for a speech. And I don't know if I told you, but I get to go all over the world. I get to go to some of the greatest places. Colorado's definitely up there. It's not my favorite. I think once when I was speaking, I was in Brisbane, Australia. I loved it there. I don't know if I told you, but I've spoken in 59 different countries, been on 5 different continents, written 8 best-selling books, and I'm freaking awesome. How often does that happen? A lot, right? We ask somebody one question, get one answer, and we're like, let me tell you my Colorado story, and then expand on it with a load of I love myself comments, right? Like this happens all the time. Can we try this again, Heather, and just see what happens differently? Heather, tell me about the last place you went on vacation.
Breckenridge, Colorado. It was beautiful.
Oh, awesome. When was that?
We went in July with family.
Fantastic. Family, how many of you went?
14 of us.
Oh my God.
And my in-laws.
And it was fantastic?
Yeah.
What are some of the things you got up to while you were there?
We went up and went down the Alpine slide.
Okay.
I watched.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of heights. We went horseback riding.
Okay.
We barbecued. We got in the hot tub. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
See, this is Heather and I in a very normal, relaxed conversation, right? Surrounded by like 300 sets of ears. It's perfectly normal. But how much more information did I find out that time? Right? And it would have gone and gone and gone and gone. How many questions did I prepare? Where did the rest of my questions come from? Her answers. Which meant I had to do what? One of the most underrated skills in leadership, sales, and growth. Let's take a look at it for a second. It's a really simple word. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it. Here's another word. It has an L, an I, an S, a T, an E, and an N in it.
Your marriage must be awesome.
I'm good with it. Is this a coincidence? Have a guess who I'm picking on later. That's easy. Can't so much good stuff happen though when you just stay quiet? Leave enough space for other people to finish? Allow people to go and go and go? Anybody ever found themselves with a screaming customer? Somebody highly really irate? And you try to argue back with them? How well does that work out? You have a simple belief when somebody is like screaming, you know that noise when a balloon, you pull it tight and it makes that really high-pitched noise. It's like, yeah! That's what I think when I've got like somebody screaming at me. I'm like, I'm just got to let it go and 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 go until all the air's gone. And then guess what happens? That noise goes away. There's something else that's important about understanding from Heather's example here with the questions. Has anybody seen the movie Shrek? In the movie Shrek, Shrek says ogres are like, because they have layers. People are the same. We have layers. Yet we live in a world where everything's so transactional, so fast-paced that we forget to peel them back. Think about the times where you can say, and what else? Here are some words that are really useful at encouraging people to be able to talk about themselves. Things that allow you to listen better. Write some of these words down, but note they're difficult to spell. They're words like, yeah? Wow. Really? Nice. Because what do those words say? Keep going. Keep going. I like this. I'm listening. I'm active. I'm engaged. So think sometimes it's not just about what you say, it's about what you don't say. And note that questions create conversations that lead to relationships, that create opportunities. That's what's going to drive the action. That's the 5-step dance that I cannot change. Here's another big part of your job. And it's to give people enough information to make a decision. There's one word in that statement that I think is ridiculously important. What do you think the word is? Enough. I'm certain that you've all delayed, prevented, or confused a conversation from giving too much information. How much information is enough? It depends, right? It depends on the person. This was perhaps put best by my late grandma, a huge mentor in my life. My nan said to me, if everybody thought in the exact same way, then wouldn't the whole world like to marry your granddad? I'm like, she'd be right. She'd be right. Yet one thing that is remarkably important in terms of giving enough information is people need to know why you and not somebody like you, right? They need to understand all the value that you bring to the way that you do things. You've also got to get pretty darn good at talking about money. How many of you love talking about money? There's 1, 2 weirdos. I'm going to try and help illustrate something here about just how important it is to get this work right ahead of time. I need to pick on somebody. And can I borrow your pen, young lady? Your name is? Abby. This is Abby's pen. So we've got Abby's pen here right now, and what I want you to imagine, if this is Abby's pen and it's just chucked on a table at like a yard sale, how much is the pen? 10 cents. Okay. This is Abby's pen again now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take Abby's pen, we're going to put it upright in a stand. Stand is made of acrylic. Acrylic stand has the manufacturer's name across the top of the stand. In adjacent compartments to this pen are other pens by the same manufacturer. Different colorways. Neatly merchandised. Stand sits on the counter of a mid-price department store like a Macy's. How much is the pen? It's the exact same pen. The exact same pen. Now I'm going to take the exact same pen. This time I'm going to lay it down on its side. I'm going to place it in a box, and the box is made of mahogany. So I have a pen in a mahogany box. This is velvet lined. Sits in a cabinet. The cabinet is made of glass. Glass cabinet, spotlit. So I have a pen in a mahogany box that's velvet lined. Sits in a cabinet. Cabinet's made of glass. Glass cabinet is spotlit. This too sits in a department store. Not just any department store. Department store's in London. Not anywhere in London. It's in Knightsbridge. The store is called Harrods. So I have a pen in a mahogany box that's velvet lined, sits in a cabinet. Cabinet's made of glass. Glass cabinet is spotlit. Sits in the department store, not just any department store. Department store's in London. It's in Knightsbridge. It's called Harrods. And to get to the pen, I need to speak to a member of staff. Member of staff is wearing a black tuxedo, has white gloves on, and his name is Pierre. How much is the pen? It's the same pen! I don't know a better way of explaining to you that in every single marketplace, there are people selling what seems to be the exact same thing for demonstrably different prices. What's the difference? See, everything you're thinking right now, that's all true. All of it. It's all of that stuff. All of it. See, the thing is never worth the money. It's the things that go with the thing that are worth the money. So the clearer you can get on the things that go with your thing, and the better you can articulate those things, the more value people will see in your thing. Got it? Here's your £1,500 pen. Okay, let's finish this thing strong. If I have the word price written in my right hand and the word value written in my left hand, and price comes out ahead of value, which one looks bigger? We can get the value out ahead of the price, which one looks bigger right now? We know that. Yet what happens is, sometimes what we do is we lead with price and we back it up with value. Yet we know people want the thing before they understand how to pay for the thing. Show of hands in this room, who spent more money on something than they thought they would? And we think budgets are real? Let's just understand that, right? That happens in a variety of different areas. Sometimes what we're looking to do with language is just make a tiny, simple swap. Change some words around to demonstrably change the perception or the output that the other person is. Firstly, there is a 4-letter word I'd like you to ban from your vocabulary. 4-letter words that you shouldn't use in front of students, customers, parents, families. Can you think of any 4-letter words you should ban in front of customers? This is a 4-letter C word that you should never use in front of a customer. The word in question is cost. How do you feel about your costs in your life? If you say it cost me, what you're saying is it hurt me. So the cost of your membership, the cost of your program, the cost of your class says this experience is going to be painful by labeling it a cost. What happens when you make a simple swap and you ask families to be able to invest in their students' future? Invest in the confidence and competence of their kids' abilities. So I'm not giving you the precise word to be able to swap it to, but swap the word cost. And think literally like an investment is money in with returns. If families get returns from investing in your services, let's package it and label it as such. Help people see that there is more value in this experience than the cost of an hour of your really looking at is the impact of the experience the student has engaging with your studio, right? That's what you're asking them to pay for, not babysitting. That's not what's for sale, right? There's ways of getting that for $10, $12, $15 an hour. The transformation you take people through, that's worth a lot more. Make sure we package it. Swap the word cost to something different. I'm going to give you another important thinking around simple swaps. Is when you've been asked by families and people within your communities, how's the market been? How's it been for you over the last 2-3 years? How was it for you through the pandemic? How is it for you right now in business? How do you answer what adjective? Last 2-3 years is when being asked questions, how's the market? Do you know how many agents responded with the words, man, it's been crazy. Market's been crazy. And then those same real estate agents are saying to me, Phil, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like all of our buyers are behaving like really crazy. And all of our sellers are behaving crazy. And my agents, they're behaving crazy too. I say, how do you answer the how's the market question? They're like, crazy. They were telling people how to behave. I want you to understand the common questions you get asked, the answer you reach for labels the behavior that you're looking for people to be able to follow. So when somebody says, how's it been for you the last few years, and you say it's been challenging, they're like, damn, do I want to go work in the struggle? Less likely to want to come work with you. How's it been? It's been insane. Woohoo! Don't want to be coming to get into this asylum. Think about choosing your words differently and you'll completely change outcomes. I got so much more stuff to be able to share with you today. Fortunately, we have an hour to do a workshop session next. When I'm back up for the workshop, what I'm looking for from you is to be able to say, how do we dig into the weeds on this? What are the critical conversations that you're dealing with right now? Where are you needing to impact moments with families, with external partners, with vendors, with employees, with parents, the whole thing? We're going to go deep and make this really, really practical. I want you all also to know, is see the little book that's up on screen here right now, is I bought one as a gift for anybody who doesn't have one. They are available. Don't feel you need to rush to Amazon. I'm not going to charge you for them. They're a thank you for letting me have this hour to be grace with you guys. But I did bring these two with me. And isn't it crazy that my little kid's book here is in DSOA colors? I'm looking at that like, woo. So through the pandemic, one of the things that I did is I wrote a children's book that really the illustrator did the bulk of the work on and not me, that is beautiful to be able to help raise the consciousness of the power of words within young people. I bought one copy of that. And also we expanded the Exactly What to Say into a luxury hardcover, and this is a limited edition with gold leaf and ribbon and just about as fancy, because we did 1 million copies of this book. And when you sell 1 million copies of a book, you don't get like a gold disc like you do in music. So I created myself a gold book. I got one copy of this and one copy of this, and I wondered, who wants these? There is a tiny, 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 massive lesson in that. In life, people are asked who wants something, and what happens is people shoot their hand to the sky and say, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. Your success is not my responsibility. It's not anybody else's but your own. I know those are books, but if there's something you want in life, be brave enough to get off your backside. Don't get to the front row and say, still, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me, because there are people out there that are prepared to be able to step right in front of that and take it from right underneath your nose.